the wheel gets turned a little bit. I feel the weight shifts over to my left side of my leg. I'm sitting there as hard as I can trying to hold this thing up straight, thinking, oh my God, what did I do? All right, so today I'm just out taking a little ride, and I'm not installing anything. I'm not doing any type of ride comparisons or tutorials. What in the world? All right, so I'm not doing any type of ride comparisons or tutorials. I'm going to tell you a story. You came to the video because you saw the thumbnail said I was scared, or I was afraid, or something that I said about a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, and it wasn't clickbait. It's true, I was, and I'll tell you that story. But before I get to that, I have to catch you up to speed and give you some history. We got to go back, I mean years back. I grew up as a kid in a Harley-Davidson family. My dad rode Harley-Davidsons way before I was even born. My uncle rides a Harley. He rides that blue Road King. You might have seen that in the video. My dad's best friend rides that Ultra, and you've seen that in the video. My brother-in-law rides a Street Glide. My brother rides a Road Glide. My sister had a Night Rod Special, and my mom used to ride on the back of the motorcycle with my dad and go to Daytona. So, oh, can't leave out my uncle. My uncle, who is now 92 years old, he bought a motorcycle when he's like 85, another Harley, and he's the one that got my dad to start riding Harley-Davidsons. He had a 1947 Harley-Davidson. So with that being said, I grew up in a Harley-Davidson family, but when it came time for me to buy a motorcycle, I bought a sport bike, a GSXR 750, because I wanted something fast and just, you know, basically fast, something fast to ride. And I had my first GSXR was a yellow and black one. Then I bought one that was blue and black. So after the GSXRs, I went to 1000s, and after the 1000s, I stopped riding. Reason why? Because everyone sold their bikes except my dad. I was the guy on the sport bike in the pack of Harleys. When we went to Daytona Bike Week, they all had Harleys. I had a sport bike. Every morning I get up, I get ready to ride, they were wiping down their bikes. And I said, that's all you guys do, is just wipe down your motorcycles. Just ride them. Now I do the same thing, so I do understand. I was the guy, I just didn't want a Harley. I said Harleys are not for young people, they're for old people, they're slow, who wants one, and all those things that everybody on the comments that like to troll these sites, where troll these channels where we're talking about Harley-Davidsons. You know, there wasn't YouTube back then, but everybody that comes to the channel and likes to say all these things, listen, I used to say the same thing. One day you may change your mind, just like I did. I went without a bike for a long time, and everybody start buying bikes again, start riding, get ready to go, taking trips, and I'm sitting at home, and you know, or if I went with them, I would follow behind them in a car. And come on, you know that's not the same when you're following behind in a car and everybody else is on motorcycles. So, but actually my wife suggested, she said, won't you get another bike? I said, well, I've been thinking about it. She said, well, if you get another one, I'll ride with you. And when she said that, I thought, okay, well, if she's gonna ride with me, then I'm gonna get me a Harley. Right, so back to the story. So my wife says, you ought to get a motorcycle. And at this time, my dad and my uncle was planning another trip, going to see my uncle who lives in North Carolina, and they were gonna ride their bikes. They try to do that every year. Actually, I have to pause that. Let's just put that on hold right there. Let me go back just a little bit further and let you know my experience with motorcycles. I actually sold bikes. I worked for a dealership that sold Hondas and Yamahas, Suzukis, and at the time Polaris, where there wasn't even you know, it was Victory motorcycles. Victory motorcycles and Polaris 4-wheelers, that's what they sold. Indian was around, but they wasn't being sold by Polaris at the time. At this time, I'm working at a motorcycle shop, selling Hondas at the Honda dealership, and people would come in, just got their motorcycle license, and ask me what type of motorcycle they should buy. Sometimes they would listen, sometimes they wouldn't listen, but most of them would gravitate towards the Honda Rebel, just because it was the lightest bike on the showroom floor. And they would sit on it and they were like, okay, this one feels good, just because it was light. And they would sit on it and they would think, okay, this is the bike for me. And most of the time I would suggest something, if they were comfortable with the Honda Rebel, I would suggest something a little bit bigger, because I knew that they were going to come back shortly thereafter and trade. I've seen so many Honda Rebels come back a month later and they trade for the bike that I suggested at first. It usually was I think was like Shadow 600 or an Arrow 750. So that lets you know about what time I was selling bikes. An Arrow 750. And then when I was selling Suzukis, they would try to get like the S40, and I would try to push them to a C50 Suzuki. And my reasoning was because when you first get on a motorcycle and you're new to riding it, yeah, you're trying to balance at those bikes 500, 600 pounds, and it seems very overwhelming, and you think that you can't handle it. I'm not talking about height issues where they were on their tippy toes. I'm talking about where people's feet were flat on the ground but just felt like the weight was too much. And sometimes you have different things with people with their health problems that can't handle the weight and stuff like that. But I would always tell them this. Say, listen, I guarantee in about a week's worth of riding, it really don't take that long, in about a week's worth of riding, if you ride this bike, if you don't just get overwhelmed and park it in the garage and never ride it again, in a week's time, you'll know how to manage this weight. And I was talking about Arrow 750s. I wasn't talking about full dress or Harley-Davidsons. I was talking about Arrow 750s and C50s. And some people would listen because I told them that this Rebel, you're going to get tired of this. You're going to get tired of this 250 Rebel. It's not going to be enough motorcycle for you. Some people come back and tell you, yeah, you was right, I should have bought this. And then when they came back, they would lose so much on your trade-in. You can't buy a motorcycle and then 3 months later think you're going to trade it in. They would lose so much on their trade-ins. That's why you would always, I would always see a bunch of Honda Rebels sitting around with like 200 miles on them, 300 miles on them. If they were going to buy one, I always suggested that they bought a used one in order to get comfortable on it, and you're not taking a hit so bad when you go trade it in if you bought it right. If you're still here and you remember why I'm even telling this story, I ramble, I know, my wife says that all the time. But so I knew that you get used to the weight. I actually told people you get used to the weight, and don't worry about it, you'll learn how to manage and get used to it. That's what I used to say. Here comes the good part. Now I'm back to the part where my wife has said, listen, you need to get you a motorcycle, we can go ride it, that'll be fun. It's like, okay, doesn't take a lot of convincing for that. So I went and found me a Street Glide. I was so happy. I haven't ridden a motorcycle. I haven't ridden a motorcycle at that point in about 7-8 years. And I was so happy just to get a nice shiny Harley and get back on a motorcycle. I was so excited about that. So we drive the car, go out there to pick up my bike, sign all the paperwork, and get ready to leave out of the parking lot. Now, I didn't even test ride this motorcycle. Didn't test ride it. And I'm glad I didn't, because if I probably would have test rode it, I hate to say this, if I would have test rode it, I don't know if I would have bought it, to be honest with you. So I signed the paperwork, they throw the tag on the back, I'm excited, get ready to go out of the parking lot, and that's when it hit me and felt the weight of this thing when I'm trying to slow maneuver through the parking lot. And I'm like, okay, well, let me get out on the road. Well, I get out on the road, I get stopped at a red light, Now I'm used to riding sport bikes, and this thing is just, compared to a sport bike, it's just vibrating. My whole body is shaking. I'm like, what in the world? And at the red light, I'm holding this bike up. I'm like, oh my goodness. Now the Harley-Davidson, the Street Glide, is about 860 pounds, maybe a little bit more than that. The last bike that I rode was a GSX-R 1000. So now I'm on a Harley-Davidson Street Glide that weighs about 860 pounds. And it's vibrating, it's making all kind of noise, and I'm sitting at the red light, and I'm thinking, just don't drop it, just don't drop it, just don't drop it. And the wheel gets turned a little bit. I feel the weight shifts over to my left side of my leg. I'm sitting there as hard as I can trying to hold this thing up straight, thinking, oh my God, what did I do? So now I'm really doubting. So I take off going down the road, but then the thing that I didn't want to happen happened. Traffic right on the interstate. Got stopped on the interstate in stop and go traffic. 860 pound Harley-Davidson. I did. At that point I said I made a mistake, and I'm sitting there in stop and go traffic trying to slow ride this thing 2-3 miles per hour behind another car, because you know they're inching up at a time. And I thought I really, okay, that's not good. There's not a gas station close by. I better get some gas. I thought I really made a mistake with this motorcycle, and I started doubting myself, thinking I bit off more than I can chew, because this thing's just too heavy. And as I sat there thinking about it, I got mad and frustrated at myself and started thinking, I see people riding Harley-Davidsons a lot smaller than me, and I'm concerned about this weight. What am I doing wrong? Why are they okay with it, and I feel like this is the heaviest thing in the world? And the more I thought about that, the more I started thinking, okay, I'm going to do this thing. I can do this. I bought it, I like it, and I'm just going to get comfortable at it. So I made it home. I prayerfully made it home, parked it in a driveway, and said, okay, everybody else does it, I'm going to do it too. And with that mindset, took it around the neighborhood, got a little bit more comfortable with it, kept riding it, kept getting more comfortable with it, and I'm talking about all in the same day. With all that being said, it didn't take, I really got to get some gas. I better turn around and go to the gas station. It's about 20 miles that way, and I only got 34 miles left. I'm extremely glad that I didn't give up on riding a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to turn around. I'm glad I didn't give up on it. I'm glad I didn't let fear just overwhelm me and I stopped riding or traded in for something else. Because I tell you, I love this Street Glide. People always ask me, that know me from riding sport bikes, do you like the Harley better than you like the sport bike? Yeah, I do. But I don't dislike sport bikes. I still like them. It's just a different ride. I mean, this is a total different ride. Being able to stretch out and put your feet up on the highway pegs and take trips. When I used to go on trips with the sport bike, I'd throw it on the trailer. I don't have to throw this on the trailer. If this is on the trailer, then something's wrong. I put it on the road. And there's nothing like packing this Harley down and knowing that I'm going to be on the road a couple days going on some trips. It's an awesome bike. That's my Harley-Davidson story. I like it. Glad I didn't let fear overwhelm me and get rid of the bike. And if you're wondering, this is my second one. The first one was a 2014, and this is the 2019. And Lord willing, there'll be a lot more Harleys in the future. Okay guys, so I'm going to end it here. Hey, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to comment below. I have zero regrets about buying this bike now. I just had a moment of doubt, and I thank God that I got past that, because this has been a wonderful experience on this motorcycle. All right, again, so I want to thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day.